So first I'm going to paint a scene for you guys. You walk into the study, you see blood pooled on the ground. You follow the trail with your eyes, and you see small hands grasping a candlestick. Mrs. Peacock staring straight at you. Clue, like many other board games, have been played for hundreds of years and has been enjoyed for all ages. And they have been used for many purposes throughout history. For religious aspect, for status of wealth. Showing through here, you can see that board games, they definitely have a past, and going into the present, they are still changing the way that we play games today. Today we're going to do an overview. We're going to be looking at the origins of board games, what influences the board games, and what board games are like today. So first thing I want to do is take you back to 5000 BC to see how the very first board games began. So the very first board game was believed to be found in southeast Turkey, and have also found bits and pieces from Syria all the way over to Iraq. The very first dices that were created were a representation of the sticks that you see here, and they were painted on one side. So what you do is you toss them into the air, and the sticks shown after you did that would be your roll. The dice in itself are extremely creative, just as the board games. They have been created from anything from wood to stone to animal shells and even bones. So if we move on forward to 3000 BC, that's when board games slowly moved on over to Egypt. And this board game right here, Seton, was an Egyptian game that was believed to have moved forward and helped you through your afterlife needs. It was so popular that it was also referenced in the Book of the Dead in chapter 17. If you were a lucky player at this game, it was believed that you were protected by the gods Ra, Thoth, and Osiris. Not only Seton, but Mayhem was another popular representation of the religious games in Egypt at that time. This game itself kind of looks like a snail shell, but is actually a serpent enlarging itself, encasing itself over a sun god. So in the mythology, Mayhem was a giant serpent that wrapped itself over the sun god Ra. And as you can see, the creation just in the board game has always had an influence, be it religious or whatnot. If we continue on to 2000 BC, backgammon became its era. Backgammon was a Roman Empire game that was vastly popular. The base idea of backgammon was to get your checkered pieces off the board, which they also called it bear off. It became super popular in the 1960s by Prince Alexis Obloninsky. He created the International Backgammon Association, and he also started the backgammon tournaments. Backgammon tournaments, once again, became so popular with not only his type of people, but celebrities and colleges. And the tournaments, they went forth and went from Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion all the way up to Las Vegas. So at this point, you start seeing historical events start affecting and changing the inspiration of the inventors that made these games. In Rome, in the 13th century, all the wars that were happening at that time influenced most of the inventors to create tactical war-based games. This right here is the very first version of a chess table. And not only that, Candyland is another game that was referenced from a historical event. When polio was striking, a lot of people, a victim, Eleanor Abbott, wanted to create a game for children that were isolated because of the effects of polio. So she created what we know now, the fun-filled candy game, to entertain the children that were isolated alone. We move forward to the present. Now this is when the board game era takes a hit. You start seeing iPads, tablets, and computer games really start affecting the sales of any form of board game in general. Hasbro, for example, lost $1 million in sales in 2012 just because of the advances in technology. But moving forward, technology can be a good thing as well, because we move to things as Kickstarter. For example, Conan was a Kickstarter game. Kickstarter is a system that allows people to come together, and if you have an idea, you can base that idea off, and people can help you fund your idea and start your creation. Conan had a goal of $80,000. They reached that goal in 6 minutes and surpassed it, totaling out in $3 million for creating this one board game. So what we've learned today is that we have seen the rise and the fall of board games. And what is important to remember is that board games have had a long history. We have discovered board games in the mounds of history. We have discovered them through the rules of disease. And board games have changed through technology itself and have made a network for gamers and a new game to play.